India's heatwave is accelerating the $40 billion grid battery build-out no one saw coming. That single number resets the innovation playbook. The key question is not what happened, but what changes next for operators and users. We will map trigger, incentive shift, and downstream impact before the close. That's not just hot, that's the moment India's entire energy infrastructure pivoted. But here's what most people are missing: utilities aren't scrambling to build more coal plants. They're signing battery storage contracts at a pace that's rewriting how the world's most populous democracy powers itself, in the last 72 hours alone. 3 state electricity boards issued tenders for 4.5 gigawatts of grid-scale battery systems. That's 18 gigawatt-hours of storage capacity that didn't exist in anyone's plans 6 months ago. This is the inflection point where battery storage stops being a nice environmental add-on and becomes survival infrastructure. And the reason is economics, not ideology, and India's coal peaking plants, the plants that kick in during afternoon AC demand spikes, now cost between 7.50 and 9 rupees per kilowatt-hour when you factor in the fuel waste from starting them up for just 3 or 4 hours daily, plus maintenance wear, plus carbon penalties from India's new emissions trading scheme launched in January 2026. That's expensive. But Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company just signed a contract for solar plus storage power at 5.20 rupees per kilowatt-hour, locked in for 10 years. Renewables with batteries are now cheaper than coal. That's the moment everything changes, and the demand gap explains why. Peak AC load is now 45 to 60 gigawatts higher than baseload demand during afternoon hours, double what coal plants can economically serve. Running century-old plants for such short windows makes no financial sense. So instead, India's utilities are building solar farms paired with lithium batteries that charge during the morning and discharge during peak hours. The math works. And because the math works, the market is moving fast, but the second-order effects are even more significant. Real estate developers in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Pune are now building apartment complexes with integrated solar battery microgrids. Tata Realty, Prestige Group, Brigade Enterprises, all the major names, are announcing energy autonomous towers launching in 2027 and 2028. The new selling point isn't square footage. It's guaranteed air conditioning during heat waves without peak-hour electricity bills. That's a massive competitive advantage in a market where residential AC penetration just jumped from 38% to 51% in a single year. This accelerates India's residential solar market, which is already projected to install 8 gigawatts this year, and data centers and semiconductor manufacturing are now treating battery storage as non-negotiable. TSMC's first Indian fab requires 99.9999% uptime. Google, AWS, and Microsoft are all demanding that state governments build 4-hour battery storage adjacent to every new data center site. Karnataka just passed a fast-track policy that lets data centers co-locate grid batteries and earn ancillary revenue from grid stabilization services during emergencies. That's a new business model, data centers as energy infrastructure. It's elegant, and it's accelerating deployment, and the geopolitics are shifting too. China's CATL and BYD are racing to build gigafactories in India to meet local content requirements that hit 40% by 2027 and 60% by 2029. South Korea's LG Energy Solution just announced a $2.4 billion joint venture with Adani to manufacture cells in Gujarat. But the real wildcard is India's sodium-ion battery strategy. Reliance Industries is backing 3 sodium-ion startups with $800 million in combined funding. Sodium-ion is cheaper than lithium and India has abundant sodium supplies. If sodium-ion hits 8,000 rupees per kilowatt-hour by 2028, compared to 12,000 for lithium today, then 8 to 12-hour storage becomes economically viable. That means India could achieve true 24/7 renewable power before the US or Europe, and the opportunity is staggering. State electricity boards are issuing 15 to 20-year contracts with sovereign guarantees. Tamil Nadu alone plans to tender 6 gigawatts of storage by September 2026. The internal rates of return on these projects are 11 to 14% in rupee terms, which beats most Indian infrastructure debt. For technology companies, India's battery market grows from 3 gigawatt-hours today to 65 to 75 gigawatt-hours by 2030. The control systems market alone could hit $3 to $4 billion annually, /N/N, but there are real risks. India's state grids weren't designed for bidirectional power flows. Integrating 50 gigawatts of batteries by 2030 requires upgraded transmission infrastructure, new grid control software, and operator training. POSOCO, India's national grid operator, is racing to deploy AI-based forecasting systems, but if integration lags deployment by even 18 months, you get expensive batteries sitting idle. Lithium price volatility is another threat. Storage economics assume lithium at $12,000 to $15,000 per ton.